Hello everyone. Today's presentation is called Functions of Emotions, and my name is Leila. So when we think about emotions, we usually think of them as something personal, like something happening inside of us. But emotions usually do a lot more than that. They play a really important role in how society functions as a whole. A lot of what we'll be discussing is from the NOVA module, NOVA reading to be exact, on the functions of emotions, along with supporting research in psychology that looks at how emotions shape behavior and social interactions. So instead of just thinking about emotions as feelings, we can think of them as tools that help organize how people interact and live together. So, one of the main ideas is that human life is very complex and interconnected. Every day we rely on each other and systems to function, whether it's family, um, school, healthcare, or even strangers we interact with. Because of this, there needs to be some kind of structure that keeps everything running smoothly. This is where emotions come in. Emotions help us guide our behavior in social situations. They signal what matters to us and how we should respond to others. For example, emotions like guilt can push someone to fix a mistake or in a relationship, while emotions like anger can signal something feels unfair. Research supports this idea by showing that emotions are closely tied to both our thinking and our behavior. They help us make decisions and respond appropriately in social situations, which is essential in such a complex and connected world. Um, Culture plays a huge role in organizing all of this. It gives people shared rules, values, and beliefs that help them understand how to behave. A really important part of that is how culture teaches us about emotions, what we should feel, how we should express those feelings, and when we should control them. These are often called emotional norms or rules. So, for example, in some cultures, it's okay to openly express emotions like sadness or anger, while in others, people are expected to stay more reserved and keep everything in. And these differences show that emotions aren't just biological, they're also shaped by social expectations and our cultures. And according to research that I've done, um, these emotional rules help make behavior more predictable, they guide how we interact with others, and help maintain social order. And without these shared expectations, people would react very differently in the same situations, which could make interactions confusing or even chaotic sometimes. So, overall, culture doesn't just shape what we believe, it actually shapes how we feel and express those feelings, which helps society to run smoothly.
For a complex society to function without falling into chaos, we need a way to coordinate how we interact, and that starts with our emotions. One of the primary functions of culture is to provide a meaning and information system that establishes emotional norms. These are the cultural guidebooks that tell us which emotions are ideal and promote societal peace, and which emotions lead to chaos. These norms often manifest as feeling rules, which are internalized expectations of what to feel, and display rules, which are unwritten guidelines for how to express those feelings outwardly. Considering these rules, culture dictates whether an individual should strive for high arousal emotions like passion and excitement, which are often prized in individualistic societies, or low arousal, harmonious emotions like peace and contentment, which are often more common in collectivist settings. For example, collectivist cultures like Japan have emotional display rules that emphasize restraint, harmony, and context sensitivity. People in Japan tend to suppress powerful negative emotions like anger and contempt, and disgust because these emotions can disrupt group harmony. They also express positive emotions, such as happiness and surprise, more moderately, than Canadians and Americans, according to research. Overall, Japanese individuals adjust their emotion expression based on who they're interacting with. They differentiate more between in-group, which is family and close friends, and out-group members than North Americans do, showing the most emotional control with close, important relationships. The process of learning emotions happens through cultural transmission, which begins at a very early age. This is why infants from every culture start smiling or reacting to caretakers as early as 6 weeks old. The meaning behind those smiles is shaped by the people around us. We learn how to feel first from our parents and families through daily child rearing. However, the lesson does not stop at home. We are constantly learning about emotions through movies we watch, the books we read, and even advertisements that we see. These media sources reinforce our society's specific worldviews, values, and beliefs. Whether it's a story about a hero who remains stoic or a commercial showing a happy family, society is constantly teaching us how to align our inner lives with the world around us. Finally, culture teaches us display rules. These are specific instructions on how to manage or modify our expressions depending on our circumstances. We see this when we are taught that in many cases it is not appropriate to cry in public, or when we find ourselves acting polite and smiling even when someone has been unkind to us. This is important because if everyone decided to express every raw emotion without a filter, society would become unpredictable and dangerous. These rules act as a regulator for human behavior, and by managing our reactions, we reduce social complexity and prevent conflict. Ultimately, these shared emotional guidelines are what allow us to live in large groups, like crowded cities, while maintaining a stable and functional society.
Hello, I'm Chloe, and before we get into the slides I'll be showing off, we have a video to show you showing emotional expression through healthy and non-healthy means based on upbringing.
In this scene, we observe the same child experiencing the same situation, but receiving two very different responses. Notice how each parent reacts and how those reactions begin to shape the child's emotional world.
Hi, what happened? You look sad.
Kids at school didn't let me play with them. They said I was too slow.
I'm sorry. How'd that make you feel?
I guess I felt embarrassed.
Yeah, that makes sense. Did you tell them that's how you felt?
No, I was scared too.
Yeah, well, we could always tell people how we feel if it makes us feel like a certain way, if it makes us feel sad or embarrassed or anything like that. Yeah, well, I'm here to talk to you more about it if you need to talk.
Okay.
Okay. Why are you crying? What happened?
My kids at school wouldn't let me play with them. They said I was slow.
Okay, that's not a big deal.
But it hurts.
You need to stop being so emotional about it. Just go to your room and move on. It's not a big deal.
Years later, we see how those early responses influence emotional expression, communication, and relationships. The same person, but two different internal worlds.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, can I talk to you about something?
Yeah, of course. What's going on?
I felt a little left out yesterday when we were together with everyone, and it didn't feel super great.
Oh, yeah. Like, did I do something wrong, or?
Just felt a little disconnected.
Okay.
It just made me feel a little upset. I didn't think you did it intentionally. It's just,
Yeah.
I just wanted to let you know.
No, thank you for letting me know. I mean, we could just hang out this weekend like that, both of us, and then have more, like, connected time.
That'd be great, actually.
Okay, let's do that. Awesome.
Perfect.
Awesome. Hey, what's up? I haven't seen you since when we hung out with everybody.
Yeah, I've just been chilling, I guess.
Oh. Are you okay? Something seems wrong.
I'm fine.
Oh, okay. I mean, I'm here to talk to you if you want to talk about anything.
I said I'm fine.
Okay, that's fine. You don't have to talk anymore then, I guess.
It doesn't even matter. No one cares anyway.
Okay. I'm sorry.
What you just saw isn't just about two different parents. It's about how we learn what to do with our emotions. When we're kids, we're not just feeling things. We're being taught what those feelings mean. We're learning if it's okay to be upset, if it's safe to talk about it, or if we should just keep it to ourselves. When someone listens and validates us, emotions become something we can use. We're able to talk, connect, and actually work through things with other people. But when those feelings get shut down, they don't just go away. They just stay inside, and over time, that can make it harder to open up, even if we want to. Emotions are kind of like signals. They show other people how we feel and what we need, and the way we express them can affect our relationships, whether we grow closer to people or start to pull away. And it's not just personal, it's bigger than that too. The way we handle emotions is shaped by what we're taught growing up, by family, by culture, by everything around us. Those unspoken rules stick with us. So the difference you see here is really the difference between learning how to express emotions and learning how to hide them.
So after that video, that involved me, Layla, and McKenna as actors showing parents and a child growing up in two different settings, one being the healthy parent and the other being the more closed off, non-healthy parenting style, and what it can do to relationships. So for emotional expression basics, emotions are expressed verbally as well as non-verbally. So verbally can be like how in the video I, as the child, was speaking to you how I was feeling. And then non-verbally would be the position of my body, like crossing my arms or getting up and storming away. And these include things such as facial expressions, tone, and body language, as just described. People can accurately read emotions based off of both the verbal and nonverbal. And emotions are always going, they're constant during social interaction as well as not during, like when you're by yourself over messages and such. There's always something going on involving your emotions. So moving on to why emotions matter. So the social application is emotions act as social signals, as described on the last slide. It's how we can verbally and non-verbally communicate to people. So it just shows what's going on inside our heads. And then context and understanding, they communicate feelings and intentions as well as build relationships. So again, it's the internal factors as to what's going on. And then emotions show intention by, you can have sweet words and say, wow, that was really good, but based on the tone, it can show what you mean behind, like saying, wow, that's really good, can come off as sarcastic and show that maybe you're not being as honest as you would be normally. And then when you do show true emotions, it helps build the relationships between people so that you're closer. Then emotions change behavior by influencing how others respond and behave to your emotions. And your emotions can also influence their emotions, such as you being upset, like sad, can make other people sad. So it's always a back and forth, like ping pong. And then framework for interactions, emotions help guide social interplay, or just social interactions, basically. So moving on to emotions and relationships. So emotions reveal relationship quality. So that means if you always have good things to say about the other person in the relationship, that can show that the quality is good. And if you only have bad things to say, or you might not want to see that person or talk about them, or anytime they're brought up, you might get a sad or upset look on your face, then it might show the quality is not as good. And those kinds of emotions can predict a relationship failure, such as contempt and disgust. It can show that a relationship may not last. And then those negative emotions I was mentioning, the contempt, disgust, can also predict conflict, such as if you're always annoyed with them, then you might have more conflict than if you only were mildly annoyed sometimes, like every relationship would have. And then emotions shape how we connect with others. So if you're a more connected person, such as you show your emotions, it can shape how open a relationship might be. Or if you're more closed off to start with, it might be hard to have that kind of relationship and how we connect. And we might connect differently, such as through basic shared interest.
Hi everybody, so today I'm going to be talking about emotions and how they influence our behavior. So I'm going to first talk about anger, which is an approach behavior. So what approach behavior means is basically the stimulus that is causing the frustration, the anger. Someone will have an outburst or try to get rid of that emotion in a way of like yelling, trying to stop it by being like, you're making me so mad, or just completely letting all of it out on someone. This is done in order to try to get rid of whatever is causing them to become angry. Fear is an avoidance behavior, which means that people oftentimes in that situation act as an avoidant, in which they try to hide away from what is causing them that sensation, that fear. It's important to realize that emotions can trigger automatic reactions. So sometimes people will emote, they will feel a certain thing, like sadness, happiness, anger, frustration, joy, whatever it may be. And those feelings will cause automatic reactions in us, like saying something out of joy, saying something out of happiness, saying something out of anger, or running away from something out of fear. Also, it is important to realize that people mirror or respond with related emotions. So if someone has an emotion of fear, oftentimes people around them will also become fearful. Or if someone has an emotion of happiness, oftentimes people around them will become very happy and share that enthusiasm with each other. So emotions and relationships. Emotions reveal relationship quality. So negative emotions such as contempt or disgust predict usual conflict. And these kind of emotions can predict relationship failure. And emotion shapes how we connect with others. So instead of feeling those, all emotions are okay to feel, number one. But instead of feeling those emotions without explaining them and without trying to reason with the other person about why we're feeling a certain way, that can cause problems if it's left unchecked. Usually you will want to try to convey how you're feeling, and that will reduce the chance of conflict because it builds understanding with one another. Okay, so lastly, I'm going to be talking about emotions guide to behavior in infants. So infants use something called social referencing, which means to look around to others' emotions. So have you ever seen when a baby may be learning how to walk and, well, not a baby, but a toddler, like maybe a year-ish older, maybe learning how to walk, and they might trip a little bit. They're being guided, held a little bit by their parents, holding their hands, but they might trip, and they will automatically look up towards their parents to get a response to see if the parents have a look of fear on their face or a look of, oh, it's okay, you got it, you can keep going. they automatically look. And they also scan the room and see if people are yelling, if they're seeming happy, if they are seeming angry. They pick up on emotions very, very young. So an example would be fear, which shows them to stop feeling a certain way, and then joy, to move forward in how they feel. And emotions can guide us making decisions and learning. So that's how it helps us be able to do those things. If we feel happy, we might be, influenced to do something spur of the moment because we're in a good mood. If we feel angry, we also might do something impulsively if we are trying to act out. So I hope that all makes sense, and I hope you guys learned.